The values LeBron James lives by. Could 23 be equals 1? Well, mathematically speaking, clearly not, but culturally there might be equality. Any American can become number 1, basically through the values. The values are the moral principles and beliefs of a person, and Americans have developed a list of these moral principles, and they are known as American values. Due to any person is unique for them, they believe that each one chooses which values he wants to live their own life by. In the American culture, there are people that represent some of these values. They are known as icons due they are a symbol for the Americans. They are an inspiration. My icon is LeBron James. He's a basketball player that currently plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA. And values like competition, self-help, and time and its control are some values that are present in him. As I said, the first value that my icon has is competition. For Americans, competition is a value that brings out the best in any individual, and the thing that it challenges each person to produce the very best that is humanly possible. So you can see competition even at the youngest ages. For example, in the American classroom, children are encouraged to answer questions for their classmates do not know the answer. But as I said, you can also see competition in LeBron's life. He has to compete with his teammates to get a spot on the team, but he also has to compete with rivals to, I don't know, win a ball or something. But also as a team, they had to compete with other teams to win a match or win the title. Another value that represents my icon is self-help. In the United States, a person can take credit only for what he has accomplished by himself. They do not like to take advantage of his name or their roots. They like to do the stuff for their own means. In fact, you can find a very long list of words with self as a prefix, but you cannot find these words in most other languages. They do not exist. In LeBron's case, he started to play his high school team, and because of his ability and talent, he's now one of the best players in the history of the NBA. He did it all by himself. In addition to the other two values, time and its control is another value that my icon possesses. For the average American, time is of utmost importance. They seem to be really concerned with getting things accomplished on time in order to follow a predetermined schedule. So to foreigners, they could seem to be controlled by their watches, but in LeBron's case, he's not controlled by the watch. He's controlled by the clock on the scoreboard, due to he has to get his goal before time ends. Also, he has to keep to the schedule in order to get to the training or the fixture on time. So his life is very controlled by time. In conclusion, we can see the impact and the importance of these three values in LeBron's life, and it's a clear example that 23 in fact equals 1. Because of these three values, LeBron is no longer a 23. Now he has become a number 1 for Americans. His success and shows how these three values help him to get what he has accomplished. So his life now is an inspiration for young people, and is a proof that culturally and morally speaking, anyone can become a number 1. The King versus the Captain America. What will we get if we put these two on the same court? That will be really interesting, but it is hard to imagine because they are really different persons. Not only they practice different sports, but they also have very different lifestyles. LeBron is currently a basketball player on the NBA who had a very rough childhood and Landon was a former soccer player on the MLS whose childhood was not that hard. But from the point of view of class, there are some similarities between them. A king represents the highest part of a society in terms of social class, and a captain is one of the highest ranks on the army. On the other hand, social class is the concept by which a society categorizes its members in terms of economy, politics, and culture. Is it 23 higher than 10 in terms of class? From the perspective of economy and politics, James is better for the American children than Landon Donovan, but the captain is better from the point of view of culture. So, in terms of economy, they both are rich and have a lot of assets, but LeBron is better than Donovan basically because he's more famous and signed more contracts. Also, because of basketball is a more popular sport in the United States, and the NBA is the best league in the world, while the MLS does not have that prestige. LeBron earns more money and turns over many more incomes than Donovan, owing to NBA teams pay better salaries. And just in terms of sponsors incomes, LeBron is in the first spot of the list made by the Forbes magazine with $42 million, while Donovan turns over $10 million. So, due to James earns more money, it is easy to see why he not only has more assets than Donovan, but more expensive too. Therefore, in terms of economy, the king is better than the captain. Now, from the point of view of politics, they both influence a lot of people because they are two MVPs, but due to each one's story, the rough childhood of James inspires more children. LeBron was very poor when he was a child, and he was raised just by his mother. He had a nomadic life due to some troubles and even lived away from his mother for a while. On the other hand, Donovan did not have a childhood that hard. Unlike James, he had both of his parents in his life, and even if he was not born into a rich family, he didn't have to face economic issues, and therefore he didn't have so many troubles in his life like James did. So, although they both had success in their careers, James has a more motivational story due to he rose from nothing and became one of the best players in the history of the NBA. So he can inspire more children because he's a living proof that you can achieve whatever you want with hard work, no matter where you come from. On the other hand, culturally speaking, children should follow the captain because even if they both went to school, Donovan has played in other countries apart from America, so he has learned and lived completely different things than James. Donovan played in Germany and England, in teams like Bayern Munich and Everton, apart from the countries he visited with the national team, so he could have experience of meet different cultures, while James has only played in the United States. In fact, he has only played in Miami and Cleveland. Also, owing to soccer is a more international sport, Donovan has met people from different countries, because it's more usual to find different nationalities in a soccer team than in a basketball team. So, culturally speaking, we could say that Donovan is better than James. Well, in conclusion, even if they both are a role model for different children in America, we can see that from the point of view of class, the king is better than the Captain America, because he's better in terms of economy and politics, while the captain is only better in terms of culture. So the story of LeBron is a better motivation for young people because it is a proof of what you can get with hard work, and it is the reason to follow James instead of Donovan to be a better person from the point of view of class. And we can actually say that in terms of class, 23 is higher than 10. LeBron James, an Anglo-conformist. Do you see James as a supporter of Anglo-conformity? Well, first we need to talk about the assimilation theories. There are three kinds of assimilation. First, there is the melting pot, which is a theory that says that there is a mix of culture from different countries in the political pot of the emerging nation and fused by the fires of American influence and interaction into a distinctly new type. Cultural pluralism, on the other hand, says that all the non-English immigrants created ethnic enclaves and looked forward to the preservation of at least some of their native cultural patterns. So they created a place where different cultures get along with each other with their own cultural patterns. Finally, there's Anglo-conformity, which is a theory that says that English institutions, the English language, and English-oriented cultural patterns should be dominant and standard in American life. LeBron James, a professional basketball player on the NBA, was born in Akron, where he had to compete with other children to get a spot on the St. Vincent St. Mary team, most of them tall and black, and currently, due to there is a big amount of foreign players on the NBA, the coaches require that all of them speak English. So, due to his history, career, and the environment where he lives, it is not strange to believe that LeBron James is a supporter of the Anglo-conformity. So, LeBron James is in favor of Anglo-conformity first because he thinks that there is a prototype of a basketball player. And if you check the roster of the different teams on the NBA, for example, the Cleveland Cavaliers on this slide, you can see that he's not wrong about it. Most of the players on the NBA have a similar body type. But there are people like Tyron Brooks or Nate Robinson who could become pro despite of his hate. They always emphasize that their hate has never been an obstacle to play basketball or their life in general, but there is not a mystery that to make an incursion on elite basketball you need to fulfill some characteristics. So just because a few players have demonstrated that you might be a small person but a big basketball player, it's not enough to prove that anyone with an average height is able to succeed on the NBA. There are studies that support there is an ideal body type for basketball. For example, on this slide you can see that there is a specific height for each sport. And according to this, James believes that it is an advantage to be taller, stronger, and tough because a player with these characteristics has a better angle shot, catches more rebounds, blocks, and gets to the basket more easily. When he was younger, he witnessed how his friend Drew had to struggle to play basketball due to his body type. And despite James was a better player than his teammates, it was easier for him than it was for Drew to get a spot on the team due to he has the perfect body to be a basketball player. So he truly believes that there is a specific body type to success. Additionally, he is also an exponent of Anglo-conformity because of due to the best league in the world is in the United States, everyone should act like Americans. However, Serge Ibaka does not agree with that because he speaks 4 different languages and has 2 nationalities, so he does not need another one. He had to learn the different language or the different countries he had to live due to some tragedies of his life. But different coaches, journalists, and even players on the NBA believe that if you're going to play on the NBA, you need to act like an American. You should speak English at least. And James agrees with this philosophy and believes that whether you are European, Latino, or a Chinese, or I don't know, you should speak English and adapt to the American culture. Otherwise, you will have trouble like Gustavo John, who has confessed that his biggest problem while he has played with the Hornets is the language. But James and other people on the NBA does not really care if foreign players do not know English. But if they want to play on the NBA, they do have to learn quickly because they must not expect that LeBron and the others learn all the different languages of the foreigners so they can communicate. So in conclusion, LeBron James is a clear exponent of nonconformist because even if there are players like Robinson that do not have the body type of a basketball player, the best players in the history of the NBA like Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, or Kobe Bryant, or I don't know, his idol Michael Jordan, have the physical characteristics of a basketball player. So he thinks that you can get an advantage if you have a specific body type. Also, even if basketball is a universal language, James believes that if you want to play in the best league in the world, you should at least speak English because this is a sport team and they need to communicate with each other. And it's not possible that he and the rest of the team learn all the different language so they can speak with the foreign players. So this is why James believes that there is a prototype of basketball player in terms of physical condition and culture, and it's basically the reason to see why he's a supporter of non-conformity.